I know it's just an opinion, but do you think that it's New Line's intention not to give him any royalties from it?
Well, just to give a little more detail of how these things usually work. Let's say, for argument's sake, I was trying to think, okay, if I worked for New Line and someone gave me this contract and said, figure out what we're supposed to pay the Tolkien estate. And being me, as a big Tolkien fan, let's say I wanted to pay them. I would have a lot of trouble figuring out what to pay them. And if in that scenario, since I worked for New Line, if there were cases where it was a genuine question, okay, the contract can be interpreted this way or that way, as an employee of New Line, I would be obligated to choose the interpretation that pays less money. And that would not be improper. That would be, you know, I mean, New Line has an obligation to their shareholders as well, so it's not like someone could just voluntarily decide to pay something extra to the estate just to be nice, you know, because that would be violating their own obligations to, you know, to their shareholders and so forth. Yes?
But from what I understand, neither party has submitted any documents whatsoever for any source of financial transfers at this point, right?
That's, yes.
No documentation on either
Not
side.
that I've seen. Not that I've seen. I mean, I'm sure there's voluminous documents about the, you know, with actual dollar figures in it. I haven't seen any of that, and as far as I know, none of it's publicly available. Yes, in the back.
One particular writer and producer for television has gone on record saying that he realizes television studios do creative bookkeeping along the lines of what we've been talking here and the lines of the optical network you mentioned earlier, to make certain that there's never any net profit on any one show.
Right.
The money gets shuffled around. And this particular writer has no qualms with that. He accepts that's the way it is. He'll never make any net royalties. So do you know whether that's common in the movie industry too, to do the creative bookkeeping?
Yeah, it certainly is common both in the film industry and in the music industry. They define, they say we will pay you royalties of X percentage of net income, and then they define net income in such a way that there never will be any, because they say, okay, net income is gross income minus expenses. But they define gross income so that it's as small as possible, and they define expenses so that it's kind of whatever they want. That certainly is very common. Actually, I once saw a record label contract that sticks out in my mind as being kind of unusually scummy, where they actually managed to recoup the same money twice. They actually were able to count the same payment twice as an expense. And the way they did this, the contract, this is going off topic, but I just thought it was funny. The contract was written so that the record label paid the producer, and then the producer paid the band out of the producer's money. And the contract was written so that the label could consider as a deductible expense both the money they paid, the money that the band received, and the money the producer received. So the money that the band received was actually counted twice as an expense. And I only saw that once, and it surprised me a bit, and it was hard to find because because obviously each of these descriptions was in a different part of the contract, so it was not something that leapt out at you. You had to really be following the money and sitting there and trying to calculate, okay, who's getting what. But that type of thing it's common, it happens. And I think that's all the time we have, so thank you very much.